Thank you for being here. I'm going to get started just to say a couple of things. In the meantime, waiting for Ana Rivera, which is the Master of Arms, the one that is going to be introducing what is happening comes into play. But in the meantime, I just want to say that thank you for participating in this convention. This is where we Latinos come together to get the power of community. We have many of us in all over the place. When you go to Walmart, you see Latinos everywhere. And then you wonder what happens after you go shopping. You know, everybody goes to their homes. Unlike Kissimmee and in the Orlando area where you have huge groupings of Hispanos, here in Polk County and in other counties in Florida, we are integrated. We're 1 in 10 households is Hispanic, and we don't necessarily know each other, and because of that, we lose the power that we have in being a community. So by having events like that, we create the power that is ours, because we are family oriented. We look at the environment. We protect our environment. My mother is 85 years old, and she has a garden. You know, and that's how she gets her spirit. She's from the land. We are people connected to the land, and when we come together as a community, we can make the difference in our environment that is so needed. What we have here is, before we get started with the environmental thing, I just want to update the community as to something that Earth Justice is an attorney group that represents Lulac at the state level for issues having to do with electricity and that type of a thing. And anyway, I don't want to cut it short, and I just want to bring either one of you to come up here and give us a quick briefing as to a lawsuit that Lulac has done toward the state of Florida or in behalf of the consumers, us the Latinos.
Thank you all. My name is Bradley Marshall. With Jordan, we represent Lulac in a variety of actions to try to advance energy justice at the statewide level. We are currently involved with cases involving FPL, TICO, and Duke, and I imagine that covers a lot of people here. So right now with FPL, we are still fighting the rate case from 2021 at the Florida Supreme Court. But more importantly right now, and where everyone else can be involved, is the current rate cases with Duke and TICO. TICO last year had the third highest electricity bills in the entire nation for major utilities. Duke wasn't far behind in 5th place. These are very expensive electric bills, and don't let their advertising tell you otherwise, that your bill is actually quite low by national standards, because they use artificial metrics to do so. And so right now, both Duke and TICO are seeking well over $1 billion rate increases to take effect over the next 3 years. And there's an opportunity for Duke and TICO customers to be heard. The Public Service Commission is coming to Tampa, to Inverness, to Largo, and is holding virtual hearings where customers can address them directly and let them know how you all feel about your bills going up based on these electric utilities, and whether they've delivered enough to justify additional bill increases that everyone will experience. So, you know, Jordan and I will keep representing Lulac at the Public Service Commission, legally fighting these rate increases. But in order to be effective, the commission needs to hear from people that their bills are too high, and that Duke and TICO are wrong, and that their bills are low, and that these increases are justified. So the week of June 10th, there's going to be virtual and in-person customer service hearings. Come by the Our Justice table. We have the flyers with the details of how to participate. So let your voices be heard and speak up and let the commission know how you feel about your electric bills.
All right. A hand for just to let you know that Lulac, Florida, is looking after your pocketbook and your interests, and therefore, and that's connected with the environment, that's connected with us being community. So we'll keep you informed as to actions and events that we need to participate. Now we're gonna introduce the panel that we have for the environmental. And we have David Sinclair, which is the our head of the Florida Lulac environmental. There's a whole type of a thing, and I didn't write down the thing, but the bottom line is, no matter what title that you call him, he is the guru for environmental affairs for Lulac, the state of Florida. David Sinclair. And we also have representing Alianza Center. Alianza Center is a Hispanic organization which is here in Central Florida, throughout Florida, representing the interests of the Hispanic community. And right now we're going to introduce Frank and also Johanna from Alianza. I had a senior moment there. In any way, let's applaud for them. Frank, I think that you have the first half. Oh, you had it? You're right.
All right, thank you so much, Eliseo, for introductions, and thank you, Lulac, for having us here. Really appreciate for taking the time to listen to us about this presentation we're going to do about extreme heat. And this is something that is affecting our community on a daily basis, so I'm really glad to see everyone interested to hear more about this. So like Eliseo was saying, my name is Frank. I'm with Alianza Center as a program manager. I have Johanna here. She'll introduce herself in a second. And I do also have our director here, Padre Jose, attending. So we'll be loving to connect with all of you later on after this presentation. So come talk to us. I'm originally from Paraguay in the border with Brazil. I mentioned that because I met a fellow Brazilian. So if we have more Brazilians here, like I'd love to, right there, to meet you. Tudo bom? So yeah, I'm happy to be here, and we're going to be talking about extreme heat. And because Alianza is an organization that serves the Puerto Rican and Latino community, we're a bilingual speaking, serving organization. So I'll be speaking in English, and we're going to have Johanna here speaking a little bit in Spanish too.
Buenos días a todos, mi nombre es Johanna Flores, soy colombiana, trabajo con Alianza Center y soy coordinadora del programa del medio ambiente. Damos un cálido saludo a todos los que están acá presentes y agradecemos a la organización Lulac por esta invitación. Gracias.
All right. So like I said, we are with Alianza Center. Has anybody heard of Alianza Center before? Raise your hands. Yeah, a little bit of people here. So yeah, it's great. So Alianza Center, we help create leaders in our environmental and in the service of the community. So we help through different pillars, and it's education, service, and leadership. Those are the lenses that we use to be able to help our community.
Ok, como dice Fran, en Alianza Center nuestros pilares son educación, servicio y compromiso cívico.
And we're going to be talking about extreme heat, and this is something that we face on a daily basis here in Florida sometimes. We are in spring, and we already reached like 100 degrees. How crazy is that, right? So this definition here is by NOAA, and it says extreme heat is defined as summertime temperatures that are much hotter and humid than average. Because some places are hotter than others, this depends on what considered average for a particular location at a time of year. Humid and muggy conditions can make it seem hotter than it really is. We like to bring this definition right in the beginning, because when we talk about extreme heat in Florida to other people, they say, well, Florida is hot anyways, right? So, but this is more than average heat that we have. And with all the muggy and the hotter, I mean, we can reach into dangerous level of heat. Right now, we have this map that you can see here. This is the really red ones, is 90 plus day of extreme heat. And we know this down south in Florida, we have a lot of those days. And a little bit here in Central Florida in the Tampa region. But in a couple years, it's gonna be throughout the whole state. And this is something that is gonna impact our community very much, because we are outside most of the time. We do our work outside, we live outside, we enjoy being outside. So this is something that's gonna be affecting our community on a daily basis.
Ok, llegamos al tema de Te Cuento un Cuento. Como ya les dije, mi nombre es Joana Flores, soy colombiana, soy inmigrante y recién llegué a este país, tuve muchos trabajos muy duros, pero uno de los que más se quedó en mi cabeza y en mi mente fue que trabajé en construcción. Sé lo que es sentir y trabajar bajo extremo calor, sé lo que es trabajar bajo el sol, sé lo que es trabajar en el aire, afuera, y cuando ya pasaron muchos años, paso por una construcción y veo las personas haciendo esa misma labor, me acuerdo, y voy allá y siento una tremenda agonía de saber o de pensar si esos trabajadores, como yo estaba en ese tiempo, están informados o están educados acerca del peligro que es trabajar, y más ahora cuando han pasado muchos años que la temperatura se ha elevado tanto, si ellos están realmente informados, si ellos en realidad se están protegidos o están protegiendo su salud. Es lo que más me inquieta y por eso quise compartir esta historia con ustedes.
Gracias. So when we talk about climate change, a lot of people have these images that come to their mind. The first thing they can see is the polar bear and the ice cap, the droughts, the floods that are happening in Brazil right now, the wildfires in California. There's a lot of different images that people come to their minds when we talk about climate change, but it's not something that is other people's problems, right? This is not something that exists on an abstract part of the world. This is something that our communities are facing.
Ok, en esta voy a hablar acerca de nuestra comunidad, de nuestra gente. Como todos sabemos, nuestra comunidad es muy versátil. Tenemos personas inmigrantes de Sudamérica, Venezuela, Colombia, Centroamérica, México, de Puerto Rico, que también llegan y están dentro de nuestra misma comunidad puertorriqueña e hispana. Y vemos cómo tenemos muchos profesionales, mucha gente educada, mucha gente que conoce ampliamente el tema de lo que es el cambio climático y de lo que estamos viviendo en este momento en nuestro planeta. Y sentimos también que cuando tenemos conversaciones con ellos no se sienten incluidos, muchas veces por el mismo idioma, muchas veces porque están ocupados trabajando, muchas veces porque sienten que no es el mensaje que ellos quisieran recibir para su propia vivencia. Por eso nosotros en Alianza tratamos de hacer cafecitos o de hacer eventos donde tenemos conversaciones con ellos, donde podamos escuchar lo que en realidad a ellos les preocupa o lo que para ellos son sus necesidades mayores.
So how we reach our community, we believe, is through civic engagement. And civic engagement is going to the communities, like Johanna is saying, and having those cafecitos, sitting down, listening to them, seeing what their concern is. I think that sometimes a lot of environmental organizations come in saying that they already know what the problem and the solution is. Well, we try to just really listen to what the community has to say, and from that figure out what are the things that the community has that is going to bring that positive change. And through that is through civic engagement. And the definition of civic engagement is individual and collective actions designed to identify and address issues of public concern. And for us, it's a tool to bring change to our communities. As you can see here,
Sorry. Quiero complementar algo de lo que está hablando Fran del Civic Engagement. En Alianza nosotros creamos campañas ganadoras, campañas dentro de nuestra comunidad puertorriqueña e hispana, donde tratamos de integrarlos para que tengan un compromiso cívico, para poder fomentar líderes o crear líderes, ayudarlos a que ellos se involucren con nosotros, a que ellos nosotros los escuchemos a ellos, acerca de que ellos que piensan acerca en qué les afecta como comunidad el cambio climático en su economía, en su salud, en su trabajo. Cuando nosotros hacemos ese tipo de campañas, nosotros podemos tener un diagnóstico de cómo nosotros nos sentimos como comunidad, si en realidad sentimos que nos están involucrando, si en realidad sentimos que nos están escuchando, si en realidad sentimos que saben nuestras necesidades y si en realidad estamos siendo escuchados por como nosotros, En la mayoría de nuestros casos, los inmigrantes no son dueños de sus casas, ¿verdad? Porque nos toma un tiempo para poder llegar a una legalización, y cuando hablamos con ellos, que vamos a tocar las puertas, donde tenemos una conversación más personal con ellos, ahí es cuando nos damos cuenta que en realidad ellos les importa, ¿no? Si va a llegar el recibo de la luz muy caro y no van a tener cómo pagarlo, si nuestras personas mayores en realidad van a pagar el aire porque tienen temor de que va a subir mucho el bill y no van a poder pagarlo. Entonces ese tipo de campañas que nosotros realizamos en Alianza es en realidad para conocer verdaderamente cómo siente nuestra comunidad.
Yeah, looking at this map here, you can see that we have heat islands. This is areas where the heat is going to be extended to dangerous level, and it's where our communities live. It's commercial, sitting, urban residential. It's places that have no tree canopy. This is going to be the areas that are going to be really affected. I think last year when we had that dangerous heat wave in Orlando, we have this effect that was creating a bubble, and it was creating to even higher temperatures. And so we have this really big issue of climate change that we're talking about, and we're trying to bring it down to the level of our community. And that way is really about seeing what is affecting our community, such as extreme heat. And this is something that we see on a daily basis when we talk to people. I remember when I used to take the bus to go to work, I had to change a shirt, because by the time that I get to work, I'm drenched in sweat. A lot of the bus stops, they don't have like any kind of covering. People that take public transportation, they're affected. Our kids, they're stuck in a classroom now. They want to go outside and do some PE and play some soccer or any kind of activity like that, and they can't because it's too hot, and the gyms don't have AC. So we have those people being affected. We also have people that work outside. We all know about the laws that passed where they cannot take breaks and take water. This is something that's really affecting our community. And the people that work in the theme parks, I work in the theme parks before, I know how hot it is. It's extremely hot. But what about the people that are looking to come to Florida to visit? Imagine if they realize that it's too dangerous for them to come. It's going to be affecting our economy. So extreme heat affects everyone. Affects our health of our elders, affects the health of our young people. And if you want to go outside and enjoy a hike, you can. You have to wait until the fall, so that way you'll be able to enjoy the outdoors.
En Alianza Center estamos comprometidos a construir comunidades resilientes, comunidades que se eduquen, comunidades que se preparen, comunidades que se fortalezcan y se superen, siempre buscando una mejor calidad de vida para ellos. También estamos muy interesados en darles un soporte en su salud mental, porque consideramos que es muy importante para nuestra comunidad y para nuestra gente.
And some other ways that the heat is affecting is, we're talking about health. You can see here, this is all different ways that health is affected by extreme heat. It has emergency room visits increase, cardiovascular diseases, mental health. Imagine being outside, you're already angry because it's so hot. This creates more mental health issues and respiratory disease. So everything is increasing. And another way that is increasing that, our justice brought it up, is just the bills. And this is something really tough for our communities that are living paycheck to paycheck in some cases. I know that I speak to people in the community, and then sometimes they have to not pay certain bills, so they make sure that they have to pay the electrical bill, so that way the medicine that they have in the fridge doesn't go to waste. So it's something that's being affected really, really hard in our communities.
Para añadir algo a lo que está diciendo Fran, cuando hacemos nuestro toque de puertas, creo que esa es la preocupación más grande de nuestra comunidad, cómo vamos a pagar la luz. Y creo que es algo sumamente delicado, ¿verdad? Porque afecta nuestra salud, afecta la salud de las personas, y debemos seguir tratando de tener más comunicación con ellos para al mismo tiempo poderlos ayudar.
So we're bringing up to the case about energy bills. So extreme weather events are also going to increase the bills. And I know that when there's a hurricane, the thing that I'm most scared of is not having electricity, because my mom depends on that AC. She depends on having that medical devices. So if the weather events are going to be higher and the bills are going to be higher, what is going to happen to people like my mom that I worry about, about her health? So this is bringing us to what we think is the solution, is resilience, right? And what is resilience? We hear the term a lot, but what is the definition? So the definition is resilience is the ability to prepare and plan for, absorb, recover from, and more successfully adapt to adverse events as defined by the National Academy of Science. And this is what is coming out together, using civic engagement to create resilience in our communities. That's kind of like the idea that we have with our Latino Hub networks. And I introduced you here this idea, and we are happy to talk to you more about it so that way you can understand and we can kind of connect with you, the work we're doing. And I'm gonna pass it here to Johanna to close it up, and then we're gonna have an activity brought by David.
Bueno, espero que les haya gustado nuestra presentación. Fue un placer haber estado con ustedes y voy a pasar la quiera.
Let's give them a hand of applause. Thank you so much. Now, notice that I was asking people to sit in the first 4 rows, okay? So our dear friends in the back, they'll try to move forward so we can fill up the first 4 rows, okay? Because we're going to have an educational event. Now, if this were church, you could sit anywhere you want, right? But it ain't, okay? So the reason I need you to be close up front is because soon I will give you some instructions that are very simple so that we can form into small groups of 4. And the reason we're going to get into small groups of 4 is so that we can solve a problem within our small groups. You don't have to be knowledgeable about environmental issues, about pollution's effect, or even about the cause of high energy bills. But in what we're going to do, in the exercise we're going to do in groups of 4, each side of the room will have a different case study. This group, in their little groups of 4, and this side in the little groups of 4 will have a different case study. One group, for example, this group, will have a case study about energy affordability. I've changed the names so that the guilty will not be identified yet. And in this side of the room, we'll have a case study about coal ash ponds. Coal ash is a residue from the electric power companies when they produce electricity. This group will have, in each of the 4 different groups, will have a case study, and the same on this side. So before I commence, as a former school teacher, I need to give you some very simple, like kindergarten directions, okay? I know that you're very helpful, so this is what we're going to do first, okay? Those in the first rows, and we call this the first row, are going to just turn your seats around, only the first row, to face the people. And the people in the third row, this is the third row, please do the same. Just turn your seats around so you're facing people in the fourth. So please, those in the dear friends in the back, move forward, try to fill in. Once you've turned your seats around, I'll give you the next instruction. I thank you so very much for this. I need somebody to hold my microphone. So now that we are in little groups of 4, okay? So I'm going to ask a simple question. We have time, so you need to respond, okay? How many people are already in a group of 4? Raise your hand if you're in a group of 4. Okay, again, let the kindergarten teacher, raise your hand if you are already in a group of 4. That means half of the group is deaf. Okay? It's important because I'm going to give you a handout. I want to make sure that nobody's left out. Okay? So right now, I'm going to distribute to each group of 4 one handout. So I appreciate if you're in a group of 4, and I'll give you instructions because we're going to have like 15 minutes to chat. So let's wait for a moment, okay? Okay, so ready? At the school.
In a moment of desperation and frustration,
I'll be there yet, okay? So listen carefully. Raise your hand if I give you the sheet as a facilitator. Raise your hand.
keep it up.
Okay, so, ready? I like the way people follow instructions. I think you guys skipped first grade, huh? Okay, raise your hand if you're the facilitator, okay? Look at the clock. You are the lucky person who's going to read the case study to your group. Why are we doing this exercise? Let's listen, please. Why are we doing this exercise? Why are we doing this exercise? Because, as the ladies in the first event showed, you have the power. You are empowered to solve any problem based on the knowledge you have of any situation in your community. I could give you a situation in the farm community in Michigan, and you could solve it because you know what the community needs. This side has a case about coal ash ponds, which are toxic open-air pools of a dangerous toxic residue that's left in the communities a couple of miles away from the electric power plants. This group over here has a case study of a mom who cannot afford to pay her past due rent and her electric bills of $600 past due. Both stories are real. I just changed the names. Both stories are very, very real. Your job in your group in the next 50, I'll give you 20 minutes. The next 20 minutes is you need one secretary in your group to write down the answer to the questions. Good luck. You have the power. You have the dream. You can solve the problem.
In a moment of desperation.
I don't remember, but does anybody remember when you were in first grade, the teacher doing like that? Do you still do that?
I still do that.
Who are you, young lady? Who are you?
Mari Corujedo.
School teacher?
I am a school teacher.
For coming from what city?
Miami, Florida.
A hand for Miami.
Past president, or should I say director of Lulac.
Okay, so, first of all, we're honored to have this opportunity to present these cases to you. So I'm going to give like a 30-second summary of what this group has so that you can hear about it and vice versa, okay? This group has a situation, I'll describe it the way it's written, okay? It's real, but I changed the names, of a community that has a power plant like Tampa Electric or Excel, and nearby the company of the power plant has to throw away the residue of the soil, and they put it into a pond, una laguna, that's not covered. It is toxic, but the government regulations specify that the toxicity of that pond is not at a level to prohibit it. The community knows of the danger, but the county commissioner refuses to listen to the truth from the community. This side has a case different. A mom owes the electric company how much money? $600, okay? So she decides to be brave and goes to an agency that helps with bills, electric bills. Basically, they say to her, join with some other folks to fight against these higher electric bills. So Mrs. Palmer decides to go to meet a county commissioner. The county commissioner pretty much says, like, so they're going to give us their solution on how a person can fight to make sure that the electric bills don't keep going up and up and up and up. This group is going to come up with ideas on how the community can respond to something toxic, dangerous, because a hurricane comes through that spreads. So I need one group, one volunteer group, and one volunteer group to give us an answer to your questions about how you would solve this. So in this group, who would like to read the responses? Would you like to read the responses? Okay, please read the question first. Let's listen. Read the question first, and we'll give you 60 seconds to respond to your question. Could you hold the microphone for her?
What are some reasons to stand up and fight to remedy the situation that's developing in this case? Reasons to fight: health, protection of health, protection of low-income communities that are going to be affected by this situation. They're going to be basically homeless. They're going to lose their crops. So protection of their livelihood, and also protection of their property values.
Thank you. Notice that even though I believe you have not been to that location, it happens to be the Big Bend power plant of Tampa Electric in Hillsborough County. Same story, I changed the name to protect the guilty. Now, let's go to this side, and if we have time, we'll come back to you. The point is that even though you did not know the situation, you came up with good answers. So do not be afraid when you notice something in the community that's going wrong. You have the capacity to stand up. You just have to have people around you, like the lady said, be with a group of people you trust, work on your dreams, don't take no for an answer. Okay, which group over here would like to give us a summary of their responses? Don't be shy, otherwise I'll look for the youngest person. Okay, please, would you like to be able to read the question?
Number one, you want just number one? Says, what are your suggestions on how Mrs. Palmer should proceed in getting what she wants and what she needs in the short term?
owes the money?
Yeah, she owes $600 for the short term and long term actions. What would you suggest for her objectives to be?
Did everybody hear the answers? No. Just have the microphone closer, please.
So, our suggestion in the short term is for her to seek pro bono legal representation for herself, and through that representation, she could become aware of the tactics used by the BUT and see.
BUT happens to spell what? Barron Utilities.
Yeah, and then seek organization in her support group that she has, and then that way they can all form in the long term a class action suit.
Great. Second question, please.
I kind of answered both of them.
Wonderful, wonderful. Give them a hand. Thank you. Now, let's come back to, we have time for one-on-one for this group to read to us the suggestions you have on how to deal with that toxic pond that is in your community And it's not just in Hillsborough, it's also, Father Jose, what community do you live in? Azalea Park? Okay, that is also another community that has similar issues.
Yeah, we also believe that health risk community is probably the biggest thing to be concerned about, especially with our vulnerable populations, the most weak in our society, one of the most at risk. That anything was to spill over, it would contaminate the water, the soil, vegetation around it. It sounds like there's farms close by, which would contaminate a lot of the food here in Central Florida. I forgot to read the question, didn't I? That was one of the reasons to stand up and fight to remedy the situation. Short-term and long-term actions that would be taken to lessen impact. The educate and inform the community is probably the most important short-term goal. Long-term, a big financial commitment by the government, and maybe more public monitoring, safety monitoring. It says in the story that they believe that they're following all the rules, but maybe the rules need to be expanded a little bit.
Thank you. Now notice that in this community, I'll be very brief, as in Rio, there is a rich community and there is a low-income community. Who gets screwed? Which other group would like to report here? Okay, brother.
All right, so just do one or two. All right, so for the first one, we kind of similar to what they had, aligned with other community organizations that are already doing the work, basically advocating for utility costs and debt relief programs, but then also join a larger group that could be countywide or state or national. For short-term and long-term actions, the very first thing we wanted to do was to get out of crisis mode. So apply for unemployment, apply for EBT, apply for Medicaid, Medicare, apply for a payment arrangement with the utility company to indicate that there's a child, in school, so speak with the school social worker to see what support services can be provided for the child. But more importantly, find some job assistance or search. She's doing part-time work taking care of her child, so maybe she can start a business, doing daycare. On the long term, she's going to have to find ways to get the county commission to listen to her, but also determine who the decision makers are and who they're being supported by. So basically follow the money, and she'll see why people are making the decisions that they're making. But lastly, to educate herself on laws and policies as it relates to the PSC rate increases, how that goes about, as well as the things associated with new energy.
Good, quite a group. Okay, now, I thank you all for discovering that you have the ability to solve these problems. So in your community, if there happens to be other groups working on environmental things, don't say to yourself, no, I can't, I'm afraid because nobody's going to listen to me. They may not listen to you, but in groups, and when you speak from the heart, people will move toward you. I thank you all for being here. Lulac thanks you all. Earth Justice thanks you all also for being a supportive group behind us. Alianza thanks you all. And I'm going to pass the microphone back to you.
Thank you very much. And at this time, I'd like to present to Alianza Center an appreciation for your participation in our Environmental Matters in Florida panel. And then to Earth Justice. Let's do justice.
Earth Justice.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And last but not least, to our group of our state board, Mr. David Sinclair. Okay, so please, if you want to know how the Latino vote matters, we're going to talk about not only about registration, but we're going to talk about how to vote with your mind instead of your heart, especially in these dire times, okay? So if you need to go to the ladies' room or the men's room, it's right next door, and you come right back because we have a great panel for you. We have the League of Women Voters. We have
our newly elected mayor of Haines City.
Yeah.
And we also have Lulac, we have